my friends, my good friends. It has been a few weeks, but we are back for another Thursday. I'm going to talk about the content coming out about Star Citizen development. We actually got kind of lucky. I missed last week's and the week before, but last week actually was a part one. So I'm going to go through both parts of Arena Commander. And really, I want to look at this with the perspective of, is this potentially going to become its own standalone game in some way? Is this going to stay connected at the hip in Star Citizen's main menu, or could they launch this as a Trojan horse for Star Citizen? Maybe something that they're putting out on the PC is like, you know, another game you could play where you're doing more multiplayer stuff, or I don't know, lo and behold, a console version. Sounds like blasphemy, but I imagine they're doing a lot to improve Arena Commander. They've talked about things like, you know, theaters of war in the past, and I don't know if that'll get a mention today, but it did get a mention on the monthly report, which is the first time in 2 years I've seen them talk about it. So there could be some gearing up happening. Let's jump in and find out. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoy these, consider subscribing. If not, I'll see you later.
Earlier this year, we introduced you to the Arena Commander feature team, newly created with some familiar and friendly faces.
By the way, the main reason for watching this, if you are wondering what the point is, I try to add more context. I try to dive into the things they said before and connect them to what they're saying in this to hopefully get us a little bit more info. Anyway, sorry. Back to it.
Take the long-ignored dogfight module and bring it up to date with today's advances in the persistent universe, as well as see if we can't restore some of that feature and technology testbed intention from its earliest incarnations. And the very first parts of those labors are currently scheduled to arrive in the upcoming Alpha 320 in the biggest update Arena Commander has seen since it was first introduced. So let's throw it now to Duncan and Sam as they represent some of the work their team's been up to in the first of two back-to-back episodes we're calling Arena Commander, Air, Space, and Racing, followed by Foot, Tonk, and Testing, Part 1, the first half.
Two parts. They don't usually do two-parters. 30 minutes of Inside Star Citizen for Arena Commander is a lot. But if you're wondering where Firesprite went after PlayStation bought them, some of their employees ended up becoming this.
It's not all there on the thumbnail. I got overruled.
Arena Commander is this game within a game, which lets us take these super fun, awesome moments that we've all experienced in the PU and get them down into this short, fun snippet of 10, 15 minutes, hop in, hop out.
I think the most fun about Arena Commander is that you get to jump in and play the game that you want to play. You don't have to spend time collecting all the stuff that you need to go out. You just pick a thing and you start playing it.
It lets people get down and dirty without the repercussions that you experience in the PU.
Is it possible for Arena Commander to help the development of Star Citizen?
Yes, it can be used for testing things that aren't quite in the PU yet, but will be soon. And it can be used for testing things that are already in the PU.
As we get closer and closer to Death of a Spaceman, it becomes a vital part of everyone's time in Star Citizen. Be it you just want to practice your flight controls, you want to practice racing, you want to get better at dogfighting or FPS combat.
See, this is what I need to do. I'm so bad at this game. I need to use Arena Commander more.
You don't lose everything when you do it in the PU.
I mean, I'm awful at fighting and flying.
Last time on ISC, we talked about all the things that we wanted to do and we were currently working on. The whole laying the foundations idea that we just needed to hunker down and get these refactors done so that we can start working on some amazing content which we have lined up. Now I'm glad to be in ISC again to talk about that content which we have been working on since. Before we get started, I want to shout out the team. I've got a list here so I don't forget anyone. We've got Adam, Adrian, Bryn, Corwin, Kirk, Mark, Ricky, Samuel, Sean, hi Sean, and Simon, all working extremely hard, and everyone else and all the other teams that have been extremely helpful in helping us get to where we are today. So let's take
I don't know, I read in a comment they were all working on ships, not this stuff.
you through the flow from the beginning to the end. So the front end, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, multiple screens, an absolute pain to get through. We want to clean up that experience, get rid of all this flash clunkiness and unnecessary wait time.
It's really just like
it
just doesn't look good either. I think this is the same layout we've been using for almost 10 years now. What menu goes 10 years without being changed? They used to change the Xbox dashboard like every 3 years. Although this might have gotten an update around 3.0 time.
Rid of all this flash clunkiness and unnecessary wait times between screens.
With the new front end, we've consolidated everything essentially into one place for everything that
You still have all your friends list and stuff. That's nice. You got a lobby. Oh, that's going to be so good if we have persistent lobbies and we could just jump into different matches together. Oh, that changes things.
you want to do.
The first thing you'll see is Star Marine and Arena Commander.
Especially if this is PvE, you could just run a bunch of, like, your team versus a bunch of bots and shootouts. Oh, this could be
Merged together
fun.
in a single nice clean interface.
You can play any FPS game mode, any dogfighting game mode, whatever you want, essentially. It's all in that one place.
So we've taken a more diegetic approach. We've got
Cool.
a better 3D rep.
So then they're taking Star Marine and putting it inside Arena Commander. So we're just having Arena Commander from now on.
Representation of pretty much everything. We've got a 3D representation of the ship or loadout that you've got selected, and more layers upon this, what was originally a 2D UI, very flat. We want to bring it in line with the diegetic approach that we have across all of Star Citizen and unify it. So patch notes are now included in the game, so you have quick and easy access to see everything that's changed about Arena Commander in detail since the last patch.
Whoa.
We're also excited to say that we're working on widescreen
Patch notes.
support. It's still a work in progress and we're hoping to get it in for this release, but I wanted to let everyone know that we're working on that. To the right is social menus, it's friends list, notifications and party, and that takes us into the new lobby system, which we've completely refactored. This new lobby system utilizes the friends and party system, which you all know from Star Citizen in the PU, and works in tandem with it rather than separately. You'll be able to invite people straight from your friends list or your party into your Arena Commander lobby or squad. This new lobby system is faster, more reliable, and hopefully be a much better experience than what you're used to. And it lets you play with the people you want to play with, get into groups faster and easier than ever before. So once you click launch, you'll go straight into the game, and the first thing you're going to notice is the new spawn screen, which is on almost every mode.
Multi-crew support. Oh, God, yes.
The new spawn screens are our way of essentially making sure that once you're in game, you can do things that you couldn't do before in the Arena Commander. You'll be able to change your ship, you'll be able to change your loadout in game. All of these things are going to be things that you can do with the new spawn screen. It's the way that you can see the battlefield from above without having to actually get into the game. It's essentially our way of making sure that the player knows everything they need to know before they start shooting.
It's the Battlefield spawn screen.
Spawn screen, among many things, it finally lets us bring multi-crew to Arena Commander. You'll be able to party up with friends and join their ships in free flight, both swarm modes and squadron battles.
You can just click on their ship and just jump straight into it. No longer do you have to awkwardly park next to each other and then get into the other player's ship. You can just spawn directly into the turret of that person's vehicle.
So for now, for these combat modes, you'll be locked into your seat, but I'm personally super excited for eventually having engineering gameplay also in Arena Commander and laying the foundations with this spawn screen.
Oh, repair engineering. This is it's literally just a virtual version of Star Citizen. It's weird to say. The way they launched this whole thing way back in the day was that Arena Commander was a game in the game. So you could like get into a sim pod, jump in, and you're essentially playing combat scenarios of what you would be doing in Star Citizen, except that's too risky, so you don't do it there. It's finally happening. This is finally going to be the way for us to play the game together without having to spend an hour setting up some mission. They could, honestly, like do industrial versions of this. They could say, hey, we've got Arena Commander stuff where it's all about competitions with mining. What are the possibilities of this? This could be the answer to why everybody keeps talking about wanting private servers. You get these empty sections of the game that depend on REC instead of UEC, so there's no messing with the economy, and you get to practice and play all you want without the risk of other things happening.
Screen. It leads into that. And this is just the first step. We're excited to eventually work on engineering and combined arms gameplay for these modes as well.
Combined arms. Theaters of war, then?
So let's start looking at maps, new and old, starting with the new Horizon Speedway. So the whole New Horizon Speedway has been moved to Green, the third planet of the Ellis system.
For New Horizon Speedway, we now have our own.
Yo, we're gonna get to see this, and they're calling this Green. Green is an incredibly beautiful planet in the lore. I bet this looks like trash compared to what we actually get in the game whenever Ellis gets made. No offense, you guys. This is beautiful right now, but like, y'all are gonna keep improving this for years, and Ellis is gonna look amazing. I bet.
Entire planet just for Arena Commander. It has its own atmospherics. It's a fully fledged planet, essentially, which we've worked with the planet team on. We have our own biomes, it even has beaches, although you may not win the race if you do try and see them.
And this represents the first time that we have real atmospheric racing in Arena Commander, but be careful, we're still experimenting with wind and weather, but it's too early to say exactly where it's going to land. So the New Horizons Speedway now has
that looked like me. That was about to be me in the side of that hill.
4 tracks, starting with Record Memorial Raceway. It's the least unchanged of the bunch. It played pretty well, we thought. We added more checkpoints, and that's just about it for Record. Moving on to Old Vanderval, it's the easiest, shortest of all the tracks. We've cleaned up some of the cheeky little shortcuts that you guys found, and that big dive in the middle of the map where you go right down in between all these buildings, we've expanded that across, and you now curve all the way around a giant pillar in this large curved dive now, which we feel is a really good place for that map. It's still the shortest of all the tracks, but it will seem longer due to atmospheric flight. Next is Defford Link. It's the longest and hardest of all the tracks, and it's a complete rework from the ground up.
It's kind of designed as a sort of endurance test where you are flying between, obviously, all of the buildings in New Horizons Speedway, but it's not really about those tight corners or heavy, sharp turns. It's about making sure that you don't crash. It's about making sure that you can keep that good race line through the entire map, essentially. Defford is our most difficult map and has been from the beginning and still is now.
It's really a dance with atmosphere with this map. You are going around, zigzagging around buildings, down, corkscrewing around, barrel rolling. My favourite part is the vertical corkscrew and the dive down right at the end before that home stretch back to the finish line. So Halloran Circuit is the 4th edition to the New Horizons Speedway collection. It's primarily inspired by snowboarding. So you're going to see a giant half pipe that expands the entire level, where you're going to have to really test your limits, test your drifting, get those rear engines at the back so you can go down this pipe at the best speeds possible.
When I last played it, it kind of reminded me of bobsleighing, where you basically are riding on each bank using the atmospherics of the plane to basically heavily go between each of the very different buildings and hard turns that are inside of the map.
And we all just think it's really fun.
Alongside this, we also have a few PU race maps that are also coming into Arena Commander.
We've got the Snake Pit, Miner's Lament, Yadar Valley, and Icebreaker. And this is your chance to go in and practice those races risk-free.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm talking about. They're taking actual places in the game and making closed courses, closed private servers out of them. These are the private servers people have wanted, just not the whole system.
In addition to the race maps, we also have several dogfighting maps coming to Arena Commander.
Starting with Jericho Station and Security Post Korea. Jericho Station is the most lightweight of all of these. It's the first PU location that we actually took into Arena Commander, and that is because it is lightweight. There's no planetary bodies around, so it was the easiest for us to get started with. It's just a beautiful location. You see some nebulas off in the background, and I don't know about you, but I've been there a lot with Xeno for it, so it's a familiar battleground for me.
Wow, these locations they're bringing into Arena Commander are also going to make really easy to make cinematics, because in the PU you struggle with lower frame rates, but with these closed levels, we can get great videos, I think, probably with much higher frame rates of these specific locations.
Essentially allows you to playtest fighting other people and AI around that station in Arena Commander, like you were just in the PU doing it instead. It's once again another way of having that risk-free practice, as well as providing the players finally a much more open and less cluttered dogfighting map in Arena Commander.
It also let us address some of the feedback that we got from the community and developers alike, that we needed an arena which was clear of debris and just very lightweight, high performance for people to dogfight and blow up.
With the inclusion of Security Post Korea, it means we also have a map now which has turrets. We can essentially use those turrets to add more to the gameplay whilst you're fighting amongst yourselves and against other AI. It gives us the ability to add new modes which use those turrets more effectively. So you're not just fighting against players, you're fighting against the map itself.
So you're probably asking yourself, why these 2 locations out of everything in the verse? It's because we had to start somewhere, and Jericho Station, it's the simplest of all the locations in the PU. There's no planetary bodies. It had nebulas that we had to bring in, but otherwise pretty simple. With everything that we take from the PU, it's to address these challenges. We want to overcome these, so it Right now, it's not a simple copy-paste job, but hopefully in the future, this pipeline that we've made is a lot faster, and we can get a lot more maps from the PU, and this is just a start. And the last dogfighting map, which I'm super excited to talk about, is we finally have a dogfighting map in Atmosphere.
New Horizon Arena is based on the very map that we've put all of those race ships into, but instead of just speeding around it trying to get the best time, instead you're going to be fighting amongst yourselves in Atmosphere, finally.
That's fun.
I know you've been asking for this for so long. Fighting in Atmosphere, as you know, brings unique challenges. It's a lot higher skill ceiling, and it's where most of the fights happen in the PU, so bringing atmospheric dogfighting into Arena Commander was an important step for us. As far as game modes that can be played here, it's all of them, and we're excited to see how players handle it.
Okay, but do we get to do FPS on Security Post Korea? That's like the number one thing I want out of this.
Be able to do every single dogfighting mode available.
You can play Pirate Swarm, Vandal Swarm, Squadron Battle, Duel, and Battle Royale.
Okay, maybe they'll talk about it here.
So talking about Pirate Swarm, we've also got an update coming for that. This update includes a new final boss wave. You're now going to be experiencing a capital battle between pirates and UEE, and you're stuck in the middle. So as you get to that 10th wave, the pirate fleet warp in. It consists of 2 hammerheads, 4 cutlass blacks, 6 gladiuses, and a pirate Idris.
Oh, get out of here.
Your objective here is to simply survive. So as those pirates come in, the UEE also send in 2 F8 Lightnings to come and help you. Those F8s inform you that a UE fleet is on their way to help you, but you have to survive those 2 minutes for them to reach you in time. Once the timer ends, a UE fleet consisting of 8 additional F8 Lightnings, 6 Gladiuses, and 2 Javelins come out of warp and start pummeling in to that pirate fleet and helping you towards victory. This update comes with a new Spectrum badge, so you've got a couple more weeks to get the old one before that gets switched out. Those rewards are only...
You just say a couple more weeks? When is 320 coming out?
Obtainable in multiplayer, so make sure you hop into multiplayer before the update so you can get that Pirate Aggressor badge. With the new version, we're introducing a new badge that you'll be able to get starting from the release. So there's also duel mode. It's a 1v1 dogfighting mode. Previously, would kill your enemy and just continue on. Now we've added rounds, so after you get that kill, you're going to respawn, fully equipped, rearmed, ready for the next fight. And don't worry, I've got you. We're working on leaderboards. It'll take a little bit extra time, but we'll get there. And the last of our mode updates is something called experimental modes, but we're going to touch on that a bit more next week.
I'm guessing that's what's been showing up in the monthly report.
So there's a few more additions coming to Arena Commander, including the Def Cam and Def Recap. You'll be able to view the action after you die rather than it point to the ground. This new Def camera will point out your opponent rather than being this static camera that just zooms off into the abyss. It recaps everything that you did in that life, so damage you dealt to enemies, damage you received, and how you died. We're also iterating on the scoreboard, so we're adding right-click options, so you can mute, add friends, add...
Wow, self-moderation tools.
New lobby system. We also fixed that really annoying issue where, your teammates appear in the other team in the scoreboard, even though they're not in the actual game, as well as, all the other things that came along with, the round system and stuff that wasn't really cooperating with it. So those are all fixed up now, thankfully. We've also updated scoring, so now the score will change based on the rating of your opponent, so you get more reward if you're killing, the rank 1 player versus someone that's brand new to Arena Commander. Repeatedly killing the same player is going to give you less score to, stop that cheating going on. And if you try to leave a game early, it's going to give you an early leave or punishment.
Casual multiplayer stuff.
So that's just some of the goodies we've got coming with 320 in dogfighting and racing. I'm excited to be returning next week to talk to you about FPS combat and some of the additions we're adding to those modes, as well as experimental modes. Bye.
That's what can't wait to see is the FPS stuff.
I'll do the woo again.
Hey, you did good, dude.
See you next week.
Takes a lot of takes, I bet.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that true atmospheric flight is coming to Arena Commander for both racing and fighting modes. That locations from the persistent universe are being brought into the simulation to let you test your mettle easier than ever before. That this becomes more and more important and valuable as the PU continues to move closer to Death of a Spaceman in the future. And that all of this would already be the biggest update Arena Commander has ever seen, but there's even more stuff coming next week as we look at Star Marine editions, including Tonk Royale and the implementation of experimental modes that aim to return Arena Commander to the feature and technology testbed it was once intended to be. And then, back in the PU, I hear there's a jump town going on at the moment. Oh, I sure hope it's safe. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
It's good stuff. They're doing some great stuff with this.
Should we have moved the plant? That's done. It's time to own some noobs.
That's what it looks like when I'm playing. Reaction meme. All right, that's good stuff. That's part one. Let's look at FPS though, because that got me more excited. I'm really impressed with what they're doing with this. It's kind of funny how little needs to be added to these things for them to feel much better. But I think this is a good example of they put off fixing glitches and problems with the system because they were just going to remake the whole thing. Reminds me of the star map, how they're not really fixing the star map because they've just got a whole new one that's going to come out and probably solve a lot of those problems anyways. This might be a better product than what we would have had if they went iterative. Either way, I'm really happy to see that they're bringing this back around. It seems like they're getting more time to spread out again and start to bring health back to the different corners of the project, because Arena Commander has been lacking, and this could be a huge reboot to help build up that gameplay again, especially during these times when the PU is not performing that well. Let's see what they've got for us on FPS, and hopefully experimental modes brings in things like master modes testing or something.
I'm still here, still trying to learn what all the buttons do.
We're still here too.
While I'm at it, let's not waste any more of your time and get you all right into part 2 of this enormous Arena Commander update that's scheduled to make its way to you in the upcoming Alpha 320. And I'll be right here when you get back.
Alpha 320 when,
Do your
though?
best Jared impersonation.
Oh, I don't want
Last time on Inside Star Citizen.
just yell really loud.
What did we learn
Last
today?
time on Inside Star Citizen. I don't even know what accent that was.
Yeah.
It has to be, what did we learn today? Come on.
Are you excited to be doing
Classic.
2 ISCs in a row?
It took me over 80 minutes in what we had only scheduled to be an hour to film what was probably a 15-minute episode. I'm sorry.
Honestly, that's not bad. 80 minutes for 15-minute episode?
Especially to Jared's team.
I guess that's
Sorry,
not
guys.
including everything else.
It's awesome to be getting such attention shone on Arena Commander, and I'm excited to finally bring it up to what I believe it has potential to be. I get pinged like every other week asking to put atmosphere in Arena Commander, and now they finally have it, they can stop whining.
Look at this face. This is the face of a guy who just wants to do his work and constantly asked for things. Oh man. I mean, obviously it's his job, but you can hear it in his voice. Like, man, I just wanted this to be done.
Put atmosphere in Arena Commander, and now they finally have it, they can stop whining.
Oh! There you go.
They're going to whine about something else. I can't stop the whining.
Tell
but
me your real feelings, man.
I hope you liked it.
We're going to like it. I think we'll like it. I love
So
that
last
energy.
ISC, we talked about a lot about flight, but there's 2 other major parts that we want to be talking about here. And the first is FPS combat. So FPS combat in Arena Commander is so important because you need a place to practice shooting each other without actually dying for real, like you do in the Persistent Universe. So we need to make that experience as close to the Persistent Universe while still having it be fun and unique. So you access Star Marine game modes exactly the same as we showed last week with the new front end, new lobby system, and jump straight into the action.
I still haven't played on this map. This map came out like 2 years ago, and I still haven't played it. That's how much I want them to bring this back.
So with our
Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. That's how much I've needed for them to make it better so it's fun to play.
Listen, maps, the VFX team are helping us out and doing a pass over everything. So it might not be finalized in the footage that you're seeing here, but we're excited to see where they can take it and uplift all of our levels because they're in need of a facelift. And we've been working hard on fixing a lot of the bugs and frustrations across the maps.
All I know is they did a lot of bug fixes recently. I don't know, we're not meant to just say bug fixes. Fixing doors that weren't meant to be there, resolving the fact that you could just smash through the glass which you're not meant to be able to smash through, and just go into EVA in the middle of elimination, which is bad. being able to get into areas you shouldn't be able to get into.
So we fix those up. In terms of new maps, we've got a variation on a fan favorite, Echo 11. We're introducing that to Elimination. Echo 11 is quite a big map for Control. For Elimination, we've tightened it up. We've cut off access to the D room and some of A room and made it a little bit smaller so that the action can be more compact and suitable for Elimination. So last week we showed off Security Post Korea being introduced to dogfighting maps, but we've also introduced it to FPS maps, so you'll be able to play Elimination, Control, and some of the new game modes on Korea itself.
That's going to be incredibly important.
So to recap, for Star Marine, you'll be able to play on the Good Doctor, a larger version of Echo 11 for Control, small one for Elimination, and the same for Damien and get Damien Comms, as well as Security Post Korea, which is being introduced to Elimination and Control. So with the Good Doctor...
That's like almost as many maps as Halo Infinite had on launch. I'm sorry. I'm still bitter.
At some point along the line, all the trees disappeared. So Designers went in and restored that, so it's back in this beautiful oasis area that it's meant to be in, and fixed the lighting and various other issues that just happened over time.
You can tell they made this using existing assets. It's like super boxy, like the outposts we already have. It's going to be cool to see some of these maps in the more updated outpost and colonialism styles.
Know-how. And now Good Doctor's looking beautiful again. So Star Marine is a personal favorite of mine. I love FPS combat, and I'm so excited to be working on more additions to the FPS area of Arena Commander. And that leads us to something I'm super excited to talk about, and that's experimental modes.
Ooh. Love experiments. It's my favorite.
Experimental modes are important because it allows us to get back into what the real meaning of Arena Commander used to be, which is playtesting and making sure that things that are made for the PU and Arena Commander and Squadron work the way they're meant to. It allows us to put stuff into a testing environment where we can quickly check if just something works the way we want it to, essentially.
Somewhere along the line, we lost that, and when we formed the Arena Commander feature team, we knew that Arena Commander has to stand on its own and have these flagship game modes and new things that are unique to Arena Commander, but we still want to support the persistent universe and other ventures that we go on. Experimental modes are important to us because it gets things in your hands quicker. Instead of waiting for these big, huge game modes to release, we can test things out periodically for a day, a week, a month, and get it into your hands sooner rather than later. So let's dive in and take a look at some of the experimental modes that we have been working on.
Wonder if it's like I wonder if we're going to see things pop up here before they do to Evocati. Like, are these things that they're testing for? I guess let's listen and find out.
The first experimental mode is single weapon elimination. So you can jump in with what will be pistols at first.
From a developer's standpoint, single weapon elimination gives us the opportunity to really test weapons that we want to get tested.
Oh, do you guys remember that game in Call of Duty way back in the day? What was it called? I can't remember what it was called. But you would start with a pistol and you'd have to get a kill to move up with each gun. I really hope we get something like that here.
It allows us to check every single part of the weapon balancing and make sure that it works just right. We know that players want to test their skill against each other, and the best way to do that is to make sure everyone's equal. So everyone gets the same weapons, everyone gets the weakest weapons in our first version, and they get to just see who's better than the other.
With 320, we're introducing pistol-only elimination, and that will be the arc-like pistol, and it's a personal favorite of mine. It adds increased time to kill, and it came originally from playing with you guys, the community. And at the end of a long session of Star Marine, someone threw out the idea of, like, what, can we do like a pistol-only round? And I just had so much fun with that. We ended up playing for at least another hour. So that mode is inspired by that. So for this patch, it's just pistols only, but we can change that up at any point. It's simple parameters. And if the weapons team come to us with a new weapon they want to test out, they want to get that analytic data, they want to get the fun factor, we can put it into Arena Commander, whatever that weapon is only, and see how you guys like it.
Is that like the nuke launcher from Fallout?
The next experimental mode that we're working on is Gun Rush.
Now, names are temporary. They might change between now and release.
Oh.
But Gun Rush is where you start off with a pistol, and as you get a kill, it upgrades you.
And then with every kill, you go to the next type of gun.
I mean, I guess it's inevitable. It's a really good game mode, but they actually did it. If this runs smoothly, if this has good FPS, I'm going to be playing this a lot. Might actually get decent at this game.
You go through LMGs, SMGs,
Some special weapons I won't spoil.
snipers, and even the rail.
And then we've put some surprises in there for whoever gets to the last round. So Gun Rush, as the name might suggest, is super fast paced. It lets you get your hands on many different weapons as you cycle through them and get some experience with stuff that you hadn't had. For example, I had no idea how to use shotguns. Still don't really, but I'm a little bit better at them now thanks to Gun Rush. So Gun Rush is only possible thanks to the refactors we've been doing to the spawning and loadout modules. So we can, instead of refreshing your entire loadout, switch out just the gun, and it's super fast.
Yeah, I don't like how fast it is. That looks kind of weird.
And now, whereas before it was a bit of a clunky thing to do.
Oh god, Tonk Royale. Oh, that is a cool shot.
Mode, we're bringing ground vehicles to Arena Commander, and that is Tonk Royale.
So there's going to be 3 locations for Tonk Royale. It's going to be Hurston, Yela, and Magda. So how it works is simply we have a massive arena, we drop you in on these 3 various maps, and you just go to town. There's going to be 3 versions of Tonk Royale. First is...
Guys, this is literally... Nobody's going to do this in the PU anymore. This makes it so easy. This is the answer everybody's been looking for.
Classic elimination deathmatch, respawns, just get as high score as you can. Second is squadron battle, so you are team versus team tanks. In squadron battle, it's super exciting because you can run as just the driver, or you can join one of your teammates and be their gunner. And then the third is still being worked on. Not sure if it's going to be making this release, but super excited about it, is hardcore elimination. So essentially elimination, but you've only got the single life. When the Turbo Storm gets introduced to the verse, we'll be sure to add that to Tonk Royale as well.
Awesome.
After 320, we'll also be finishing off our racing refactor, which allow us to make maps faster and merges PU and AC racing systems together. It's going to be a more streamlined process for us, our designers, and a better experience for you, less buggy on both ends. So with the racing refactor, we've also been working on a betting module, which will let you bet on races. Now, we haven't got all of that signed off.
Oh, shoot.
Excited to get that in if we can.
That's a pretty big deal. That actually might sound like a really bad thing, because betting isn't necessarily always, like, betting is kind of controversial, but Arena Commander runs on a different currency from the game. It uses REC instead of AUEC. I don't know if you can buy REC with real money, but that might be a stopgap there. Wonder how they're going to do that, though.
So just like the persistent universe, all of these maps, game modes, and features need to have their own individual go no-goes. And at the time of recording this, we've got some successful goes for Alpha 320 for the following: the new Arena Commander front end, the new lobby system, the new spawning system, which allows for multi-crew gameplay, new death cameras and death recaps, a revamped scoreboard and scoring system, 4 new racetracks for the new Horizon Speedway, Old Vanderval, Rickard Memorial, Defford Link, and Halloran Circuit, in addition to the 4 PU racetracks, the Snake Pit, Miner's Lament, Yadar Valley, and Icebreaker, the Jericho Station dogfighting map, Security Post Curator with dogfighting and FPS maps, the new Pirate Swarm Final Wave Capital Battle, the new Echo 11 elimination map, and new experimental game modes like single weapon elimination, Gun Rush, Tonk Royale, elimination and squadron battle versions, and finally a new Infinite Wave Vandal Swarm you'll discover for yourself.
Whoa.
So that about does it this week. I'm so excited to share all these cool developments with Arena Commander, and got the list here. I just want to give a shout out back to Adam, Adrian, Bryn, Corwin, Kirk, Mark, Ricky, Samuel, and Sean and Simon and the Arena Commander feature team. I'm sitting here in front of the camera, but man, the work it's thanks to this amazing team that I have. And I just couldn't say no to Jared because he's my dungeon master and I really don't want him to kill my character.
That's fair. Little montage. Look at that. Nice. This is cool. This is good. It's been a long time coming. They've been talking about the Arena Commander updates for quite a while. I'd say monthly reports. We've been hearing about them for like a year or two now. This is big, though. I think this could be a standalone game. This is version 1, I think. This feels like it's version 1 of what they want Arena Commander finally to be. They could do so much more.
Oh, what
did
we learn this week? Well, we learned that changes to FPS maps should make for a more varied experience in Star Marine game modes. That the first ground vehicles are finally arriving with Tonk Royale. and that we hope the new experimental modes will function not unlike dynamic events for the Persistent Universe, where they can provide timed, direct experiences the team can use for analytics and feedback from things as small as a single pistol, to a brand new vehicle, to even curious experiences like Gun Rush, and a few more things that we're not quite ready to share just yet. Also, if you missed last week's show, go check that out and see everything else that's coming your way from the new Arena Commander feature team in the upcoming Alpha 320. There's some fun stuff in there. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
Yo. Is there any more here? Yeah. Let's see what he has to say. I like Lando in the background.
There isn't going to be a post-credits thing in every show.
Liar. We're right here. We did it. That was post-credits. Guys, this is, I think this could end up being a standalone game. I don't think they're going to come out and say anything like that just yet. But by the time Squadron 42 comes out, you could definitely package this as Squadron 42. You could make this a free-to-play game that launches with Squadron 42. You can make it standalone, have a prompt in there to jump into the PU. This could be freaking huge for Star Citizen. The features look good. The new modes look good. The racing, and it all looks really good. Spawning into people's ships. You can practice multi-crew gameplay. This is going to be great for orgs, for groups of friends, people who just want to understand how fighting in Star Citizen feels. This will probably be the new way to show people the game quickly. But really, what it's going to come down to is performance. We don't know how performance is looking with this mode until we actually get it. They didn't really talk about too many performance improvements. They did talk about bug fixing and stuff, but really, this needs to be able to maintain above 30 frames per second. And I think we should hopefully be missing out on desync. But if those two things aren't true, this could be a rough launch. We'll just have to see. I'm sure we're going to hear more information about this in the next couple weeks. Obviously, with it going to Evocati and PTU, we'll hear a lot about it too. And I will try and do something to cover it for you guys as we get closer to the launch of this in 3.20. But thank you for coming to this one. I think this is pretty good. Obviously, it's not new features or anything super intense for the game itself, but it offers a lot of opportunities for them. And overall, I think this is going to be a huge positive for the game. So thanks for watching, guys. This was a long one. Hope you enjoyed it, though. And I hope to see you on the next one. Catch you later.